Hey, this is Smokin' Dave, and you're listening to a man who can't believe Paul Russell was an actual MLB pitcher and not a third-grade science teacher. It's the Kevin Friedman Show.
Hey now, it's Friday, August 24th, and another SportsGossip.com podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Kevin Friedman, along with my announcer, Smokin' Dave, and together we're going to bring you 10 of the hottest stories off the SportsGossip.com website. Dave, start us off with story number 1.
Tyrod Taylor leaves preseason game early with a left wrist injury.
Well, Cleveland beat Philly 5-0 last night, and while you might think I'm talking about the Indians and the Phillies, it was the Browns and Eagles who put up a stinker of a game last night for Fox on Thursday Night Football, and the Browns starting quarterback Tyrod Taylor, and yes, if you watched Hard Knocks this week, you know it's Tyrod and not Tyrod, injured his non-throwing hand in the middle of the first quarter, but he did return in the second quarter and finished out the half. Now, Nick Foles had 2 interceptions and a lost fumble, and the Philadelphia starting unit has put up a total of 0 points in the entire preseason. And with Carson Wentz still not cleared for the season opener in just 13 days versus Atlanta, Philly fans better hope Nick Foles turns into the quarterback he was last season, because right now he looks like the quarterback he was when he was on the Rams, which is not good. As far as Cleveland, I can understand why they traded for Tyrod Taylor, even though they took Baker Mayfield with the number 1 overall pick, simply because they went 0-16 last season, and they think Tyrod Taylor could at least get him a win, which might not happen till week number 3 because they open up at home against Pittsburgh, and then they're on the road at New Orleans before coming home to play the Jets, which should be a winnable game. Now in week 4, the Browns play at Oakland, which should be another loss, so they'll be 1-3 if they're lucky. And while their plan is to redshirt Baker Mayfield for the entire season, after watching him play in the preseason, I think he should be starting by week 5, because I think Cleveland might have their first good quarterback since Bernie Kosar. If the Browns can manage to go 2-2 or shockingly 3-1 in that set of 4 games, then sure, keep Tyrod Taylor in the starting lineup. But if they're 1-3, as I predict they will be, they should absolutely have Baker Mayfield starting in week 5. Now Dave, what's next?
Offensive line coach Bob Wiley is something to watch in Hard Knocks.
Yes, Hard Knocks was excellent again this week, and one of the main reasons why was offensive line coach Bob Wiley. This guy is 67 years old, began his coaching career in 1980 at Brown University as the offensive line coach. He's coached for 8 different NFL teams, 6 colleges, and 3 Canadian Football League teams in his 38-year career. And to put it politely, he's not in the greatest shape. I mean, every time he says hut, you can see his stomach bouncing up and down. He drives a Maserati, and I have no idea how he fits into it, but he does. And when he pulled up to the hotel, he told the valet no Ferris Bueller shit. And the craziest thing about this guy is that he supposedly has 7 toes on his left foot. I mean, if that's true, Bob Wiley is a mutant, because I've never heard of anybody with 7 toes on 1 foot. Anyways, I see we have a caller on the line. It's Browns offensive line coach Bob Wiley's personal trainer / nutritionist. You're on the air.
Hey, what's your problem, man? Bubba Wiley is in a fantastic shape.
Fantastic shape? The guy's got to weigh 400 pounds. If you're his nutritionist and personal trainer, you should be ashamed of yourself. What are you feeding this guy?
Last night I make him a 6-up bowl of spaghetti, a 2-plate of macaroni and cheese, and a fried chicken Caesar salad. That's a very healthy meal. Very good for you.
6 bowls of spaghetti, 2 plates of mac and cheese, and a fried chicken Caesar salad? You're the worst nutritionist I've ever heard of. But thanks for calling in. Dave, what's next?
Dez Bryant kissing the Patriots' ass on Instagram.
Well, the former Cowboy All-Pro receiver remains an unsigned free agent, He visited the Cleveland Browns last week but came away with no deal, and in an Instagram exchange with Patriots fans, he was making statements like Tom Brady has always been his favorite player, and Bill Belichick's strategy is 1 in a million. So it's pretty obvious he'd like to play for the Patriots, and I've said it before, I think he would fit in well with them. Now, I'm guessing the Patriots are a little hesitant, because odds are Bryant will not master the playbook in 2 weeks, but their current wide receiver core is not very impressive, and Bryant's only 29 years old, he's fully healthy, and before he was injured last year, he was easily one of the best receivers in football. You can go to sportsgossip.com to read Dez's quotes yourself, and with the season starting in just about 2 weeks, Dez better hurry up and find a team soon. Now, Dave, what's next?
John Bon Jovi arrived at Patriots practice in a helicopter.
Well, apparently Bill Belichick is a big Bon Jovi fan, and John Bon Jovi himself was seen at Patriots practice. You can go to sportsgossip.com to watch the video of Patriots owner Bob Kraft walking with John Bon Jovi. Unfortunately, it's only 6 seconds, and you have Patriots reporter Meredith Gorman to thank for that. For some reason, she decided to either stop filming or only post 6 seconds on her Twitter feed. When you could watch the video yourself, you could barely tell it's John Bon Jovi. I see a caller on the line who wants to discuss this. It's one of our sponsors. You know him as the Gas Man, Robert Gutenberger.
Hey, Kevin. I love Bon Jovi. In fact, I once met drummer Tico Torres in a bathroom at a nightclub.
You know, this is the second time you talked about meeting a guy in a bathroom in a nightclub. What's going on with that?
What do you mean? That's a great place to meet people. Anyways, I wanted to sing you a line or two of my favorite Bon Jovi song.
Alright, make it quick.
Hungry eyes, one look to you and I can't disguise I got hungry eyes.
Gasman, hate to break it to you, but that wasn't even a Bon Jovi song. But thanks anyways. Dave, what's next?
Bill Belichick says the new helmet rule doesn't affect the Patriots.
Well, after hanging out with John Bon Jovi, Belichick did a radio interview this week where he discussed the new helmet rule, and he thinks it's going to be a non-issue for his team because they don't teach tackling with the crown of their helmet. Now, the Patriots haven't been called for this in the first 2 preseason games, but I guarantee it's coming soon. There's been a ton of these penalties called in the preseason so far, and I'd say half the time it's called, when you go and watch the replay, the players usually go with their shoulders. It's just really hard for these refs to make that call because this game is played at a very high speed. I think the helmet rule is a good idea safety-wise, but the way they enforce the rule has to be adjusted. You either have to change it from 15 to 5 yards so it's not an automatic first down, or every time that penalty is called, the play should be under review. But that's most likely going to turn a 3-hour game into a 3-hour and 45-minute game. But either way, if Belichick thinks he's not getting one of these penalties this year, he's nuts. And that's 5 stories down. We got 5 to go, but we got to take a break, so we'll be back right after this.
Well, hi there, this is Antonio Finkelstein, and you may know me from my world-famous prostitution app. But today I'm here to talk to you about my other business, nude photography. I'll come to your house and take tasteful nude pictures of you with great angles and great lighting, so you don't have to take those naked selfies yourself no more. I've recently worked with Brown's offensive line coach, Bob Wiley, and let's just say his pictures came out wonderfully. So book your reservation today by going to Antonio Finkelstein's prostitution app and clicking on the button that says Naked Photos. You can find us in the App Store.
And we're back. Dave, give us the next story.
Hold on, I'm contacting Antonio Finkelstein.
Why, you've already hired him twice to take nude pictures of you.
I'm not booking an appointment. I just want to see if he's willing to share any of those pictures of Bob Wiley.
Good luck with that. What's next?
Todd Gurley says it's everyone's dream to skip preseason.
The Rams running back and reigning NFL Offensive Player of the Year, Todd Gurley, is not concerned that missing the preseason may lead to a slow start to the regular season. Coach Sean McVay said on Thursday that Gurley would not play at all in the preseason, and Gurley seems very happy with that. And if you ask me, I think it's a smart move. If I was a head coach, I wouldn't let any of my players that had nothing to prove play at all in the preseason. It just makes no sense. You know they can play, and you're just risking an injury. And I'm sure there are plenty of established players that say playing in the preseason does help them get ready for the regular season. But if you ask me, it's just not worth the injury risk when you know the guy can play. Anyways, you can go to sportsgossip.com to read more about this and see a video of Gurley going down a bunch of water slides, if you're into that type of thing. Now, Dave, what's next?
Manti Te'o's girlfriend made an appearance at Saints camp.
Well, Saints linebacker Manti Te'o has rebounded nicely from his imaginary girlfriend, as he's now dating personal trainer Jovi Nicole, and she made an in-person appearance at the Saints-Chargers joint practices in California on Wednesday. You can go to sportsgossip.com yourself to see pictures and watch a video if you need visual proof, which I wouldn't blame you if you did. But again, congrats to Manti on the big rebound because she is an attractive girl.
You know, I'm currently in about a year-long relationship with a girl who used to date Manti Te'o.
Have you ever met her in person?
Not yet, but we've been talking online for almost a year. We're in love. We're gonna meet up real soon.
Well, make sure to let us all know how that goes. I'm guessing she has a mustache. Now what's next?
Daniel Murphy talks about being traded to the Cubs.
The newly acquired Cubs second baseman sat down with the Chicago media for the first time since becoming a Cub, and he says he feels like he won the lottery now that he has a chance to win the World Series again. And in his first 2 games with the team, he's 4 for 10 with 2 runs scored and RBI, and the Cubs won both games. Now, Cubs shortstop Addison Russell was placed on the 10-day DL with a thumb injury, but when he comes back, if he's 100% healthy, I still think he needs to be the Cubs starting shortstop, because when he and Baez are covering the middle infield, you pretty much can't get a ball through the middle. They might be the 2 best fielders in the game. But for now, Murphy's doing a solid job, and we'll just have to wait and see how Joe Madden handles his lineup once everybody's healthy. Now, Dave, what's next?
Meet LiAngelo Ball's girlfriend, Jaden Owens.
Well, the NBA might not be interested in LiAngelo, but according to our tipster, his new girlfriend, Jaden Owens, is. You can go to sportsgossip.com to check out pictures of her, and if she's a good girlfriend, she'll try and convince LiAngelo to go back to college, because scoring 58 points a game in the JBA is not going to get you in the NBA, but scoring 20 points a game in college could get you drafted one day. I mean, if I'm a head coach of a mid-major Division I school, I'm calling LiAngelo's house every day and trying to get him to come to my team. Because not only will he get great publicity, he would probably be a decent college player. On the phone, I see we have one of our regular callers. It's LiAngelo Ball's biggest fan. You're on the air.
Hey, Kevin Friedman. I saw those pictures, and LiAngelo Ball's girlfriend is the most gorgeous woman I've ever seen. And she's dating the best basketball player on the planet, baby!
No, she's not dating LeBron James. She's dating LiAngelo Ball. And I know you want to sing your LiAngelo Ball song, and I love it, but we're running low on time, and we gotta go. But I promise you can sing it next time. Now, Dave, give us that final story.
Michelle Beadle doesn't watch football anymore.
When Michelle Beadle was on the show Sports Nation, I was a big fan of her. I watched it all the time, and she did a fantastic job on it. But I'll be honest, I haven't seen her once since she moved to Get Up. And really, if she's no longer watching football, how is she even going to do her job? I mean, while I've never watched the show, I would have to imagine it's got to be football heavy if it's on ESPN, especially 2 weeks before the football season. Plus, she's getting paid millions of dollars to do this job, so you'd think she would watch a little football so she would know what she's talking about when she's on the air. Unless she just plans on sitting quiet while everyone else talks about football, which would be pretty ridiculous. You can go to sportsgossip.com to read more about this article and her reasons why she doesn't watch football. But to me, whatever excuse she gives is just BS, because she's getting paid tons of money to report on sports, and when it comes to sports, football is king. And that'll do it for another SportsGossip.com podcast. I want to thank my announcer, Smokin' Dave. Thanks to everybody who called in. And of course, thank you for listening. As always, for these stories and much more, you can go to our website at SportsGossip.com. Our next podcast is Tuesday. And until then, we'll see you next time.